When springtime comes on the mountain. Katie's voice rang out and she sang as she hung the sheets to dry in the warm spring air down by the creek. Can we take off our shoes and wade in the creek? Inez asked. No, it's still a little cool, but it won't be long. I heard a mosquito last night and I need to get the mosquito nets out and put them up. Well, that's what I don't like about summer. Mosquitoes, Elsa declared. Well, it does seem like there's always something, Katie said, but come on now. We must get to the kitchen and fix Daddy's dinner. He'll soon be home, and you girls can set the table. I'm going to put on the new knives and forks, Elsa stated. No, you can put the plates on, but Nez can put the knives and forks around. Well, how come Nez always get to put the new knives and forks around? I never get to. I only did it one time since Daddy brought them. Well, I'm afraid Inez might break the plates, and now you are such a big girl, so careful. Well, it's not fair. Well, what if I let you stir the cornbread? Elsie pondered a moment, then she nodded. I guess I am pretty big. It had been late the night that Andrew brought the knives and forks home. Katie had already lit the lamp before Andrew got there. Elsie and Inez could tell she was worried, for she would not sing to them, and her face was unsmiling and still. Andrew had left that morning before daylight on an 8-mile walk to town. He usually rode Alec, but the old mule had a stiff leg and he needed to rest so he could pull the plow again. Andrew thought he would be able to catch a ride into town when he got to the big road, for usually there was a passing of cars along it. Katie had started across the creek and up the footpath about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Every time Inez looked at her, she was staring across the creek, craning her neck until it was too dark to see. They had already eaten their bread and milk when they heard his holler, a wild war whoop settling in waves over the kitchen, letting him know that he was coming. It's Daddy, Elsa informed them as if it were news, and Katie immediately began humming as she stoked wood into the hazel to warm up his supper. Couldn't get a ride back, no, passing at all. Had to walk the whole 8 miles, Andrew said as he dumped a 25-pound sack of flour onto the bench by the table. But his eyes were laughing, and he did not seem tired at all as he held out a flat pasteboard box to Katie. Andrew, what is it? Katie's eyes were big and round as she held the box at arm's length. Go on, open it. And when she lifted the lid, light from the lamp reflected off the shining tines of the forks and the rounded tips of the spoons, and Katie drew in her breath and a long shuddering, Oh, Andrew! They cost $1, he told her with a touch of pride. Now, if I have company, I can set the table all around, a knife and a fork and a spoon at every place. Looking from the twinkling metal spoons up into the mother's bright eyes, Inez said, Well, I guess I'll just use my old spoon husky. I might eat the shine off the new ones. They could sit on the porch again in the evenings, for the days were long and the nights warm. They sometimes made a game of counting all the night sounds around them, crickets, tree frogs, an occasional deep-toned chirrup, a bullfrog whippoorwills, a rush of wind in the leaves, and the running song of the creek as it went by them. One evening at dusk, a man came riding a horse down the footpath along the creek. Elsa and Inez stood up expectantly. They seldom saw anyone other than their own and Ma's household, so any stranger brought excitement. Well, it's Mr. Adam, Katie said. Reckon there's anything wrong at their place? No, I've been expecting him over. He wants me to sell his bull. Get down, Mr. Adam. Andrew raised his voice as the ride approached. The leather squeaked as a heavy man slid from the saddle and looped his reins over a fence post. He wore a big black hat over his fair hair, and his piercing blue eyes peered out from beneath its brim. His face was ruddy, his cheeks were firm over his quid of tobacco. He touched his hat to Katie, but did not remove it when he sat down on a chair on the front porch. After a while, Mr. Adams said, I hear you're going to build a new house, Andrew. Well, yeah, got the house place cleared out, got me some pine trees looked at, and a cypress tree down in the breaks for shingles. Soon as I get the crops laid by, I'm getting started on it. Going to build it on the next hill past Moss. Kate thinks Elsie can't walk from here to the big road to catch the school bus when she starts to school. Inez looked from behind the door to listen better. Going to have a log raising? It's been a long time since I've been to one. Yep, Kate is getting mighty excited. We're planning on setting in 3 glass windows, Katie put into the conversation. Glass windows, fancy that. Well, I reckon I better head for home and give Madam the news. Mr. Adam had gone. They sat on the porch in the darkness, and Katie sang again. Sing me the songs I delighted to hear long, long ago, long, long ago.